Very good morning, students. The previous class we have discussed about reproductive health. Sexual transmitted disease that is caused by bacteria and viruses. Then various methods of contraceptive. We have discussed there. What is vasectomy? What is tubectomy? What is copper T? Condom and cervical cap. Then finally, female feticide. For a society, both male and female both should be similar. If they involve the female feticide in society, the female ratio will reduce. So for healthy society, the male and female ratio should be maintained. So these things we have discussed. Up to that, the chapter 8 over. Now we are going to start a new chapter 9. The title is Heredity and Evolution. Heredity and evolution. There are two parts, heredity and evolution. We are going to study only the first part, heredity part only we are going to study, not evolution part. Because the evolution part is deleted. It's very important chapter. The same chapter in grade 12. So for the grade 12, the grade 10, this chapter is very basic. So kindly observe. Now we are going to study heredity. What is heredity? The process by which traits and characteristics are reliably inherited. You should know the meaning for traits and characteristics. So you know what is character? A person having different type of characters. Some of them tall, some of them short, like that. Different characters they have. Okay, what does mean by traits? Traits means among them, in the group of people, some characters are different. So that is called traits. The characteristics means the general. Okay, have a dark skin, dark hair, or blue eyes, or earlobes are attached or free. So like that is a common character. That is character. And what is traits means? There are minor differentiation or minor variation. That is called trait. So the traits and the characteristics are reliably inherited. Here meaning for inherited means transmit. The meaning for inherited means transmit or transfer. So this is definition for the heredity. Again, the process by which traits and characters are reliably inherited. The trait means a specific character. Then the characteristic means it's a common character. Everybody they have. Okay, so both are inherited. They to inherit from one generation to the next generation. The process called heredity. This is an important definition. This is one more question. Define heredity or what is heredity? The question will come. And evolution. So we are not going to study the process gradual changes take place. Gradual changes take place in the primitive organisms. In the primitive organisms over million of years. Over million of years, the changes occur in the primitive organism, and finally, new species are produced. New species are produced, or new species are developed. Okay. Again, the evolution means the sequence of gradual changes. The gradual changes take place in the primitive organism, in the earlier organism. The changes occurs. How the changes occurs? There is a change in their DNA or gene. Okay. How long? Over million of years. Not only a single day, not only a year, million of years, the changes occurs in organism. In organism is where? In the DNA or in the gene. Okay, and finally what will happen? New species are produced. How the new species are produced? The changes occurs. The changes having the organisms. So every organism have a different character, so that the new species are developed. For example, best example also, we are evoluted from the monkeys. You know, generally the human beings are evoluted from the monkeys. There are so many evidence. Okay, this changes from monkey to human. It is not happen overnight. Not happen overnight. Ore night la nadakala. Not in a 2 years, not in 100 years. Million of years, there are changes in DNA of an organism. And finally, new species are developed. And finally, new species are developed. That is human being. That is human being. So we are evoluted from the monkeys. So this is a definition for the heredity, and this is evolution definition for the evolution. So we are only studying heredity, not evolution. Anyhow, just should know the definition for the evolution also. Now, the previous chapter we have studied about reproduction, that is sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction we have studied. Sexual and asexual reproduction we have studied. Reproductive process or reproduction. What will happen in the reproduction? The reproduction gives rise to new organisms. New organisms. What is the purpose of reproduction? Gives rise to new organisms. The new organisms are developed. The process are similar. The reproduction process are similar. In sexual reproduction, the male gamete and a female gamete fused. In sexual reproduction, male and a female gamete fused. Fertilization happen. Then zygote. Then embryo. From the embryo, lot of changes occur. Finally, new organisms are developed. Or in asexual reproduction, there is no different categories, no male and female categories, like not there. So from the single body, another one organisms are there. So anyhow, that is sexual reproduction or asexual reproduction process are similar, but changes may occur in the organisms. Again, the reproduction gives rise to new organisms. The processes are similar. The reproductive processes are similar. That may be a sexual reproduction or asexual reproduction. How the asexual reproduction occurs, how the sexual reproduction occurs, we have discussed it. So the processes are similar, but the organisms are there not. There are some changes or minute changes occurs among the organisms. So that is subtly different. The processes are similar, but the new organisms are there not. There are some variations. There are some variations. How the variation occurs? How the variation occurs? There are changes occurs in the DNA. The changes occurs in the DNA. So that variation occurs. Okay. In the first one, asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction indeed. The asexual reproduction, the variations are limited. In asexual reproduction, variations are limited. Why the variations are limited? In asexual reproduction, only single parent involved. In asexual reproduction, only single parent involved. So the characters are not much, not different in the single organism or a single parent. So when it is produced in one, the variation will occur but limited. We cannot expect too much of variation in the asexual reproduction. And another type is a sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction. So what will happen in the sexual reproduction? Variations are maximized. Variations are maximized. Maximized. Why variations are maximized? Here, two parents involved, male and female involved. So male have some character, the gene have some character, female have some character. When this fused, that we discussed about the DNA copy. So it produced another one, young organism or new organism. So in that organism, variations are maximized. More variation occurs compared than asexual reproduction. So in asexual reproduction, variations are limited because only single parent involved. In sexual reproduction, variations occurs but enormous, maximized variations occurs. More variations occur because here two parent, male and female categories are there. So that more chances for the variation in sexual reproduction only. In sexual reproduction only it is possible. For an example, another example, if you observe sugarcane field. Sugarcane field is it. Sugarcane field. You observe the sugarcane field. What you identify? What you identify? Find little variations. Find little variations. Find little variations. Why we find only little variations? Because sugarcane involved asexual reproduction. So we discussed already the asexual reproduction variations are limited. So if you observe the sugarcane field, we find only the little variation, minor variation only we identify. If you observe an animal or human being, animal or human being, what do you find? What do you find? There are different variations or different variations different variations or more variations are occur because the animals or human being involve sexual reproduction. Again, if you observe the sugarcane field, find only the variation because it involves asexual reproduction. If you observe the animal or human being, more variations are generated because involving the sexual type of reproduction. Okay, so these are just the introduction about the variation. Next, another question. Variation is the same for all. Variation is the same for all, or the variation only help for the survival advantages. Variation only help for the survival advantages. Do variation only help for the survival advantages? The question is saying, in Tamil I explain, ஒரு வேரியேஷன் நடந்தது அப்படின்னா அந்த வேரியேஷன் வந்துட்டு சர்வைவலுக்கு மட்டும் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுமா, வேரியேஷன் வந்து சர்வைவலுக்கு மட்டும் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுமா அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு கொஸ்டின். will not. ஒரு வேரியேஷன் வந்து சர்வைவலுக்கு மட்டும்தான் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணும், சர்வைவலுக்கு மட்டும்தான் வேரியேஷன் வந்துட்டு நடக்கும் ஆர் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணும் ஆர் சர்வைவலுக்கு மட்டும் நடக்கும் அப்படின்ட்டு we cannot give assurity. Again, ஒரு வேரியேஷன் நடந்தது அப்படின்னா அந்த வேரியேஷன் சர்வைவலுக்கு மட்டும்தான் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுமா, இல்லை அதர் திங்ஸுக்கு ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுமா அப்படின்னா no, we cannot expect. If variation occurs, we cannot expect that only help for the survival advantages. Survival advantages ஆக இருக்கும் நம்மளால சொல்ல முடியாது. ஏன்னா this variation நடந்தது அப்படின்னா, the variation நடந்தது அப்படின்னா என்ன ஆகும்? Depend upon the environmental factor. அந்த ஏரியாவில் இருக்கிற environmental factors என்ன பண்ணும் அப்படின்னா influence in the variations. Okay, so அந்த environmental factorனால கூட இந்த variation வந்துட்டு மாறலாம். Okay, so variation வந்து எப்பவுமே சர்வைவலுக்கு ஹெல்ப் பண்ணு சொல்ல முடியாது. For example, in the last chapter we studied global warming nala water oda temperature increase ஆகுது, and the water la bacteria are growing much. water oda temperature increase ஆக bacteria எல்லாம் இறந்துருது. not all the bacteria, few bacteria இருக்கு. அந்த few bacteria la variation நடந்து the few bacteria are resist heat wave. அப்ப அந்த பாக்டீரியால வேரியேஷன் வந்து சர்வைவலுக்கு யூஸ் ஆச்சு. ஆனா எப்பவுமே அந்த வேரியேஷன் சர்வைவல் தான் யூஸ் ஆகும்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. இட் மே பி ஹெல்ப் ஃபார் சம் அதர் வேஸ். சர்வைவலுக்கு யூஸ் ஆகலாம், இல்லை அதே வேரியேஷன் இந்த பாக்டீரியாவை இறக்கவும் செய்யலாம். ஸோ வேரியேஷன் எப்பயுமே சர்வைவல் அட்வான்டேஜஸ் தான் இருக்கும்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. பிகாஸ் the variations are decided by the environmental factors also. Environmental factors influence பண்ணும் வேரியேஷன்ல. வேரியேஷன் எங்க நடக்கும்? இந்த ஜீன்ல நடக்கும். அப்ப environmental factor அந்த ஜீன்ல இருக்க சேஞ்சஸ்ல வந்து இன்ஃப்ளூயன்ஸ் பண்ணுச்சுன்னா எப்படி வேணுமா இருக்கலாம். சரியா, சர்வைவலுக்கும் யூஸ் பண்ணலாம், யூஸ் ஆகும், ஆர் எனி அதர் வேஸ்லையும் யூஸ் ஆகலாம். ஸோ எப்போவுமே நம்ம வேரியேஷன் வந்து சர்வைவல் அட்வான்டேஜஸ் மட்டும்தான் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணும் அப்படின்னு நம்மளால சொல்ல முடியாது. ஓகே, ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். அண்ட் நெக்ஸ்ட் ஒன் இஸ் the bacteria are there. bacteria. சரியா, இந்த பாக்டீரியா வந்து என்ன பண்ணுது அப்படின்னா ரீப்ரொடக்ஷன் பண்ணுது. ஓகே, the bacteria reproduce. எப்படி reproduce பண்ணும்? asexual method ல reproduce பண்ணும். asexual method ல reproduce பண்ணும். So asexual method ல binary fission, you know what is binary fission? You know what is binary fission? You know binary fission, you know the parent body split into two equal halves. Okay, now this one bacteria produce two bacteria by the asexual reproduction. By the asexual reproduction. Okay, now the body designs are there. Body design. Body designs are there. So this is a mother bacteria, the parent bacteria. The parent bacteria have a common body designs. The mother bacteria have a common body designs. Or parent bacteria have a common body designs. So how the body designs are developed? The body designs came from the previous generation. The previous generation before the bacteria have the common body design. So the characters are inherited to this bacteria. Now these bacteria are reproduced and developed two bacteria. So these two bacteria also have a common design, common body design, but slightly there will be a changes in the first generation. Again, the bacteria reproduce asexually. The parent bacteria have a body design. That body design comes from the previous generation. The body designs are inherited. Now these bacteria are reproduced. Okay, two daughter cells, daughter bacteria are developed. These two daughter bacteria have a similar body design of the parent, but there is a minute changes occurs. There is a minute variation occurs. Maybe in any way, in any areas or any ways, there is a less variations occur, but maximum the body designs are same. Okay, this is generation 1. And these two bacteria are, you know, these two bacteria are reproduced asexually. Asexually. Again, it produced 4 bacteria and finally 4 bacteria are produced. So these 4 bacteria also have a same body design and similar less variations occur in these 4 bacteria. Again, bacteria is there, reproduce asexually. The parent bacteria have a common body design. The body design came from the previous generation or ancestors of the bacteria. This is not a parent the body design. Now this reproduced asexually and two bacteria are developed. These two bacteria also have a common body design, but variations are there but less. These two bacteria again reproduce in generation 1. These two bacteria are reproduced and finally produced 4 bacteria. The 4 bacteria also have the same body design and variations are less. Why variations are less? Because this is reproduced asexually. It is reproduced asexually, so that there is a less variation. Or else, if animals or human being is reproduced, what will happen? The greater diversity are generated. That means what? More variations Here, sexual reproduction. In bacteria, asexual reproduction. So that there is no chances for the more variations. Why there is no more? Why there is no more variation? Because there is a changes in DNA. The changes in DNA copying. Small accuracy, a small accuracy, small inaccuracy in DNA copy. There is a small inaccuracy in the DNA copying where in the asexual reproduction. So that what will happen? There is a less variation. There is a less variation. So that in the first generation and the second generation, the common body designs and the variation occurred but less because the small inaccuracy in DNA copying of the bacteria. If in this stage, if animals or human being is there, the more variations are generated because there is a sexual reproduction, so that more variation occurs. More variation occurs. So here DNA copying is take a major role for the variation. And next we are going to see heredity. Again, we discussed about heredity, the process of traits and characteristics are reliably inherited. That is called heredity. We discussed. In the heredity, inherited traits. Inherited traits. What mean by inherit? Inherit means what? Transfer. Trait means what? Trait means it's a specific character. It's not common for all. Some specific characters only called as a trait. So inherited trait means the specific characters are inherited. That's the meaning. Okay. Again, I want to ask you, what is similarity and difference? Is a common word. What is the difference for the similarity? What is the difference? Similarity and difference. What's the meaning? Similarity is similar. ஒரே மாதிரி இருக்கிறது. Difference or dissimilarity means something variation, some ஒரு சின்ன சின்ன changes இருக்கும். ஒரே மாதிரி இருக்காது. That is called the difference. That is called the difference. A child bears, for example, a child bears. Okay, a child bears all the basic characters of human being. A child is there. The child having all the basic characters for the human being. All the basic characters for the human being. This is called similarity. This is called similarity. Again, the similarity means a child bears all the basic characters of human being. ஒரு human being generally என்னென்ன character இருக்கணுமோ அந்த எல்லா character ஒரு child இருக்கு. So that is called similarity. But what is the difference? What is the difference? For the difference அப்படின்னா, it does not look exactly. Does not look exactly of the parent. Child does not look exactly A child bears all the basic characters of a human being. This is called the similarity. And the same child does not look exactly of the parent. So parent not look at it. Okay. Because there are slight changes there in the child. That is called difference. So again, heredity definition we discussed already. Inherited trait means a particular specific character are inherited one to the next generation. Okay. Further, we should know the similarity and the differentiation meaning. The similarity means a child bears common characters of human being. That is similarity. So what are the common characters? Yeah, single head, legs, hands, fingers, hands. So these are the common characters of human being. So that is similarity. But not look like exactly, not exactly parent. So 100% parents face or parents characters we cannot expect. So there are some differences or changes. That is called difference. That is called difference. Okay. Now, rules of inheritance. Rules for the inheritance. For the inheritance. Rules for the inheritance of traits. Mendel's contribution. Mendel's contribution. Here, Mendel's means he was a geneticist. Gregor Johann Mendel. Not Mendel, it's Mendel. Gregor Johann Mendel. So he was a geneticist. Gregor Johann Mendel was a geneticist. Okay, he only gives or worked out the inheritance of traits. ஒரு கேரக்டர் எப்படி ஒரு ஜெனரேஷன்லேருந்து இன்னொரு ஜெனரேஷன் வந்து டிரான்ஸ்மிட் ஆகுது அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒர்க் அவுட் பண்ணது யாரு அப்படின்னா இந்த கிரிகோர் ஜொகான் மெண்டல். ஹி வாஸ் genetics. Okay, he was educated in monastery. Monastery means what? The saints are there, no? Like a priest. The more priests are living in a particular place, so that place is called as a monastery. So monastery means a group of religious persons are living in a particular place. That is called a monastery. So he educated in the monastery, and he had interest in science and mathematics. He had a more interest. Okay, so then he was in the Vienna. More interested in the science and mathematics. He was in the Vienna. Again, he returned to the same monastery. He returned. He had a chance to observe the pea plants, garden pea plants. Had a chance to observe it. So he observed all the plants. So some plants are similar, some plants are different. So he observed the garden pea plants. So he got some idea why the plants are like this, why such plants are colors are different, why such plants are tall, why such plants are short, like that. He observed the plants and he worked out on the inheritance of trade. He worked out on the inheritance of trade. So that he called it as father of genetics. Father of genetics. Gregor Jagan Mendel called father of genetics. What is the genetics? Genetics means study about genes or deals about genes called the genetics. So he only studied about genes, how the characters are inherited one to the next generation. So that he called father of genetics. Okay, he only worked out on the inheritance of traits. Now, he selected for his experiment, he did many experiments in the inheritance of traits. He did many experiments. Okay, he selected garden pea plant. Garden pea plant he selected. The botanical name for the garden pea plant, Pisum sativum. Pisum sativum, here P capital S small, is the botanical name for the garden pea plant. He selected garden pea plant for his experiment. What experiment? He worked out on the inheritance of traits, the character, ஒரு generation இன்னொரு generation எப்படி inherit ஆகுது அப்படின்ட்டு he did an experiment. சரியா, அதுக்கு யூஸ் பண்ண ஒரு plant தான் garden pea plant. The botanical name Pisum sativum. Okay, why he chosen only the garden pea plant? So many plants was there. நிறைய plants இருந்தாலும் இவர் ஏன் வந்து garden pea plants மட்டும் எடுத்துட்டாரு? Reason for selected garden pea plant. The reason for selected garden pea plant. So many plants இருந்தாலும் எதுக்கு garden pea plant எடுத்தாரு? The first reason, easy to grow. Easy to grow. Easier grow ஆகிடும். So any place the grow easily and short lifespan. Short lifespan. You know, lifespan is short. It produce yearly the seeds and complete the lifespan. So he selected. And third one is easily distinguishable. Easily distinguishable. Easily distinguishable means easily we can differentiate the plants. Easily we can differentiate the plants. So it is one of the character. The larger size of flower. Large size of flower. The flower size is very larger. And self-pollinated, more possibility for the self-pollination. Self-pollinated. Okay, self-pollination is easy. So for these reasons, the Mendel chosen garden pea plant. Again, reasons for selected garden pea plant. The first reason, easy to grow. Easily grows. Short lifespan. Within a short period, it produces seeds. So what will happen? Easier on the result வந்துட்டு கண்டுபிடிச்சோம். And easily distinguishable, that means easily we can differentiate the garden pea plant from the other one, or easily differentiate the characters. And the large size of the flower size is large, so that it is one of the characters. And the self-pollinated occurs in the plant. So because of the reason, the Mendel chosen garden pea plant. Important question: why Mendel chosen garden pea plant for his experiment? Question becomes. So these are the reasons. These are the reasons. And he selected 7 characters. The Mendel selected 7 characters from garden pea plants for his experiment. Characters. What are the characters? Characters. So he taken 7 characters. So some characters are given in the book. The first character is round or wrinkle. Round is a character, wrinkle is character. What mean by round? The seed shape is round. Wrinkle means not a complete round like this. There is a ridges and furrow. So that is a wrinkle. He took this character. And tall or short. Tall or short. So he selected tall and short the character. And third one is white or violet. White or violet. White or violet flower. White or violet flower. Okay, so like this, he selected garden pea plant, and he selected totally 7 characters. These are the few characters among them. Okay, so with help of this garden pea plant and these characters, he did experiments and proved the characters are inherited from one generation to the next generation. Okay, today we have discussed about heredity and evolution. Definition for the heredity and definition for the evolution we have discussed. And variations occurs in asexual reproduction very less. In sexual reproduction are maximized, more variation occurs. Because of the reason, different type of genes are there in the sexual reproduction, so variations are maximized. Okay, the variations only help for the survival advantages. No. We cannot say always the variation help for the survival advantages. So the variation is influenced or selected by the environmental factors. So it may be anything. May help for the environment, may help for the survival or anything, anyways. Okay, for an example, in a global warming, water temperatures increase, some bacteria are there. So all the bacteria are not died. The few bacteria are resist to the heat wave. So the variation occurs in the few bacteria. It helps for the survival advantages. We cannot say all the variation help for only the survival advantages. Sometimes it may cause death also. So that the variations are influenced by the environmental factors. Okay, and asexual reproduction in the bacteria. So the common body designs are there. The common body design comes from the parent of the bacteria. So that is inherited generation 1, generation 2. So the common body design, but there are less variation in the generation 1 and the generation 2 bacteria because less variation. Okay, if we observe the plants or animals or human beings, we can identify too much of variation because there is a sexual reproduction occur. So that variations are maximized. Okay, so what is the reason for the less variation in the asexual reproduction? Because there is a less inaccuracy. There is an inaccuracy in the DNA copying, so that less variation. Okay, and why Mendel chosen garden pea plant? Reason we have discussed, and the characteristics of the garden pea plant. These things we have discussed. So I send you the worksheet. Kindly work out the worksheet.